The world's changing, and it's not necessarily for the better. Cancel culture is out of control. People that are claiming to be woke are actually more divisive and destructive than they will ever admit to. The silent majority's getting fed up. We're tired of normalization of things that should not be acceptable. We're tired of division. We're tired of fighting. A lot of us just wanted to be left alone. A lot of people are worried that they're going to be canceled, that people are going to come for them, that the woke culture is not going to allow them to have a voice or to have an opinion. Too many people in this world have gotten used to the idea that just because they have the loudest voices, they are somehow automatically right. They're way too comfortable using the false front of inclusion or acceptance to try and push hateful, divisive agendas. Instead of focusing on things we all have in common, they want to accent and highlight and push all the differences and forgetting the fact that we're all just people. It's time to bring back common sense. It's time to start focusing on inclusion instead of exclusion. It's time to stop worrying about things that happened generations before any of us were walking the earth. It's time to start holding people responsible for their actions. It's time to have the uncomfortable conversations. It's time to learn and grow and expand. I had to say it, the podcast, having the uncomfortable conversations that need to be had. Available wherever you find your podcasts or at ihadtosayitpodcast.com.
Download, subscribe, and listen to Whiskey Hill Podcast. We're the new show that doesn't hold back on today's ridiculousness. We're not on the right and we're not on the left. We call it the way we see it, and we're going to make you laugh while doing it. Throw in some great craft beer and you cannot lose. Download Whiskey Hill Podcast anywhere you enjoy listening, and check out whiskeyhillpod.com for more.
Hey, this is Josh from the Appleboys Podcast, and this is the 5th attempt to get you to listen to the Bleach Bros podcast. I suck at intros. These guys suck at podcasting. Come back and get sanitized.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is
Welcome
B-Word, and as usual, I am here with my good buddy Jake.
Good buddies.
It's funny, Jake.
We're the
we don't
two
normally
best friends.
I mean, like, we're acquaintances at this point.
Oh, shut up! Don't
we're
do that.
We're acquaintances with benefits.
You're doing that. You must be mad at me lately.
No,
because I was talking to friends behind the scene, know me, and I was like, we're like real brothers. Like we can fight. Like me and you could fight. Like and actually
I haven't fought in a long time though.
I know, but what I'm saying is that's how we're more than you can't say we're acquaintances then.
We're acquaintances with benefits is what I said.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
So don't say stuff you don't mean because I don't know what it means either.
With you.
Oh,
I just said it to argue.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much right now. Here's why. Because I'm sitting there and you know the life lesson. You did this to your daughter too. Don't say shit you don't mean, and don't say shit you don't
say shit you don't.
You don't say shit that you don't mean, and don't say shit that you don't know what it means. So both means, double means.
Okay. Double
meaning
entendres.
and you don't, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
that was stupid.
Since we covered that, we don't have a rundown this week.
Nope, it's wonderful. I love that.
Liberating,
type of shit.
Actually, it reminds me of when we first started.
Yeah, because we had no direction, we had nowhere to go. It was funny. You actually, when we found out we didn't have a rundown, you called me because we were talking about another rundown for a different episode, which is funny that we planned out a future one, but not this one. And my new coworker was in the car, and he's like, "Oh, is that how you guys plan shit?" I was like, "Not usually. That's how we used to plan shit. Just yeah, let's just do that. All right, perfect, done, bye." And it was free. It's like free balling. It's like free balling in a river, like skinny dipping.
Free
right?
balling in a river.
I meant skinny dipping, but I didn't know how to say it.
Okay.
It's like skinny dipping. It's one of the best experiences ever.
Wow.
I love Do you like skinny dipping?
Yeah, I do actually. It's actually one of the greatest things. But I'll tell you what, I love skinny dipping. So we have natural hot springs around here.
Okay.
And skinny dipping in that is pretty amazing. Skinny dipping in like a cold ass motherfucking river.
Oh, I like that.
No.
You know why? I like a few reasons. One, I feel like you. downstairs finally.
What, with no nuts?
Cold? It's that cold. It's that cold. Everything's
gone. Dick link.
It's like a terrapin.
You made a dick link joke. Got it.
Dick link. No, but I like it because I like the cold, right? And I like to skinny dip at night, so usually it's colder anyways.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. See, I don't know, dude. Like, I have a big nut sack, and I don't mean to like just be all blunt and shit, but
you do have a big nut sack. You're not as big as Bleach Bro Mitch. You're not pancake nuts. But.
No, he's got an amazing sack. But what I will say is that I if I go into cold water, my anchor likes to go up and hide. And what I mean by that is that my nut sack is pretty much gone, and the only thing that I'm left with is my little dinghy. And my little dinghy tends to steer me in places.
Your dicky-doo string?
Yeah, with my dicky-doo string. Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into anything this week, I need to ask you,
okay,
has life ever like blessed you in ways that you didn't know that you needed to be blessed? Like, and I'm not talking about like a big old penis or anything.
Okay, that was my first answer. Like, what do you mean by this? Like, blessed that I didn't know I needed to be blessed.
Has a decision ever been made for you that you didn't know that you wanted, needed, anything like that? And like, you're totally fine with the decision, but like, it just happened, and like,
yeah,
it's just a weird thing, right?
Right. Well, I have a stupid one.
Okay.
I was at a burger place like a couple weeks ago, and I asked for a root beer. They brought me a root beer float.
Oh.
And I was so happy.
This is my co-host, you guys.
They bring it. That's okay. So here's the problem. You asked me this question. The first thing in my mind was a dick, and then the second one was like ice cream.
I listened to Appleboys Podcast this week, and they had some kind of complicated title for their episode title. And at the end of it, they said, "I think the episode's going to be called Touch of the Tism." And I was like, that's an amazing, well, it's the Tism it's like you go, and then you have the Tism, and it's the hard.
Oh, I get it. That's so good.
And so, you're sitting here like talking about your ice cream, and that's the only thing that's going through my mind. Is
well, okay.
When the fuck
can I get back to my ice cream story? Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and I order a root beer with fries and a burger, and it shows up, and then all of a sudden it does. And I look at her, and she goes, "You didn't order a root beer float." And I went, "No." And she goes, "Well, you're getting a root beer float."
You were so excited
because it was free. It was a free root beer float.
You were so excited. I'll bet you if you were the height of Gnome, your legs would be swinging off the little fucking bench that you were on.
Well, no, I was on a bar stool, so they were.
You're just sitting there clapping. You're just like, yay!
With no hands. Dude, okay, so that's a blessing, right? That counts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, here's the thing about you, though, B-Word, for this show, for our listeners. You ask, which this makes you a good host. Okay, this makes you a good storyteller, but you ask questions to answer your own question, because all I'm going to do is add a tism to it, and then you're actually going to go into why we're talking about this. So what's the blessing?
So there's been a few times in my life where I've been blessed that things have not come to fruition. So with my daughter's mom, there was a little while that we were trying to have a kid or another kid, and it never happened, right? And then there's been, several girls in between that while it wasn't like I was trying to have a child, like we just didn't protect ourselves and never had a child, right? Especially with my ex-fiance. I don't have anything against her to this today, but I just think that would have been a totally toxic situation if we would have had a child together. Well, I found out something this week, and I already told you about it, but I told you I'd bring it onto the show. I had to do some math. I had to do some calendar counting, because last year, I hooked up with this girl.
Yeah, I love it.
And we had hooked up frequently, and it just tapered off. It wasn't a
you
thing.
Skinny dipped in her river.
Yes. And it wasn't a thing, but we, I think she probably wanted a little bit more than I did, and that's fine, but that didn't happen. And I came across her profile on the social medias, and her profile picture was a brand new baby, and the brand new baby was just born.
Did it look B-wordy?
Well, no, it looked ugly, because all new babies look ugly, and I don't care if you think that you have the most beautiful baby. All new babies look ugly. They look like fucking
Little
wet
newborns
monkeys.
are ugly.
They're gross, dude. And even my daughter looked ugly as a baby. Like, let's just be honest. Like, I love you, but nope, you were covered in fucking vagina goo. You're not cute. So it was close enough though, where I had to count the months. I was like, wait, hold on. So I went back and I went back and I went back. And then it was close enough to where I was like, fuck.
That's
Holy
man math.
shit. And so I had to go back through the text messages because I don't delete any text messages. So I had to go back through the text messages and I was like, oh, thank God. I was like 2 months before conception on that, where our last hookup was. And I was like, oh, thank the Lord. Because, dude, you know me. I'm done having children. Like, that's not something that I want to have. We've talked about getting fixed. You have already gotten snipped. I still need to get snipped.
Yeah, why haven't you?
I don't know. But I was using protection. So it wasn't like it was a thing that I was like,
Okay.
But sometimes the little rubbery things tend to snap. And
I was going to say, when you said butt, you should have put it in the butt.
Well, the thing was, and here's a weird thing, dude. She always wanted it in the mouth. And I was like, okay, fine.
Oh, wait. She a swallower?
Yes.
Good for you. All right.
Yeah, no, it was a delicious thing for her, I suppose. But for me, it's like, I don't care as long as I'm getting mine. Like, that's cool. As long as you get yours too, that's cool. And, but yeah, like, it wasn't a thing. Like, we weren't like exclusive. It wasn't anything like that. But I have to tell you, like, when I sat there and I count the months, my first thing was like, I can't go down this road again. Like, that's not something that I can go down. So my question to you is, and this is the same question we talked about as I was driving home the other night and we're having this conversation. If it was mine, which it's not, there's two questions that come to mind. Listeners, if you want to participate in this, by all means, let us know. Do you reach out and say, hey, I see you have a baby and it might be mine, or do you just let it be?
So I love that you did man math. And the reason I call it that is not just because you're a man doing it and you're thinking of manly things, like, like when did I have sex, all that stuff, but you were doing the contemplation in your head of the root of pi of, do I call this chick? Because that goes into the equation of, if it's 9 months, how long do I wait? Like, what's the rules? Like, you don't call a date until 3 days after, like all those stupid man rules that we have. This is going to sound terrible. And here's why. We're both loving father. We love having kids.
Totally.
We love our children.
Totally.
I think, here's the thing. She needs to reach out to you.
Right.
And the reason is one, then you can go on Maury and I would love to be your counterpart. Like, I know it's canceled, but you know what I mean? Like one of those shows.
You are not the father.
Secondly, though, she needs to reach out because she had you guys weren't in talks that whole 9 months. So you have no clue that she's pregnant. It's not like you ran into her in town. It's not like you were stalking her Facebook or anything, right?
Right.
So you have no clue. So it's not like you're an asshole for not being there.
Right.
Now, if she messaged you hey, we should get dinner, and you ignored that over and over and over in between those months, and then you still didn't, yeah, you suck. But if she had one, I think, and I'm hoping that she, knows exactly who it was.
Oh, she does.
And it wasn't.
I found that out through snooping. It's definitely not me, and it's definitely 2 months after our latest encounter that she probably would have gotten pregnant, or somewhere within there. But still.
I'm going to give you the out, though. I'm going to give you the out. You don't need a call, and you don't. No. Honestly, you didn't have it inside. Because all right, let's flip the roles. Right, men get pregnant. Right, like what the world thinks now. Men get pregnant, and you are the one that's pregnant, and you had it after 9 months. Would you reach out to her?
No, because it's my body, my fucking choice at that point.
Oh, fuck you. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You're not getting a free fucking root beer float.
You touch
See,
it.
Okay, I like that mine is the most lowest, dumbest level of something blessing. I got a free $4 drink, and you're like, I didn't have an 18-year payment.
Well, so this actually reminds me of so back. God, this is probably 2007, maybe 2000. Yeah, somewhere in there. I was dating this girl, and then we weren't dating, and then we were dating, and it was just this weird, awkward situation where there wasn't any animosity, but I was hooking up with other people, she was hooking up with other people, kind of thing. Because I had gotten divorced within a couple years before that, and I really wasn't trying to settle down, if we're being honest. And she got pregnant right after we hooked up, and she tried to tell me it was mine. But here's what I know, and here's the little hidden secret that I had at that time. I used a condom. The condom didn't break, and I didn't nut. So how was that mine? Like, that wasn't mine. Like,
well, there's still the tiny
pre?
like. Well, it's pre, but it's also, what's it say on the package of the condom? There's still like it's
99.7 or something. Yeah.
Right. So there's that the slow B word that flew out of the coop.
Fine. That's fine. So let's just assume that happened. I knew it wasn't mine though. And so we go down this road and she's like, oh, it's yours. And I'm like, I don't really think it is, but if it's mine, I mean, of course I'll take full responsibility. Like, I'm not a deadbeat dad. So that's not what I'm trying to do. 9 months later, the baby came out black, like legitimately black.
But you're black.
Well, yeah, I'm South African,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, not mine. And for months, dude, she was trying to tell me it was mine. Yeah, no, not mine. So I know when my swimmers swim. Like, I know the exact day that my daughter got born. Like,
but do you think it's fair though to say it's not yours until the baby comes out? Like, you knew after it came out, like, it's definitely not yours. Like, but like, I know you're saying that you knew that swimmers, they weren't yours. And I know, defend yourself. I'm all for that, B-word. But do you think it's fair?
Yes.
Why? Not because it was you in the situation.
Yeah, well, right. I knew that based off of when we hooked up and when she tested, it was too early for her to have had a positive test, number one. Number two, I didn't nut, and I used a condom. Condom didn't break. Condom was fully secure, like the whole works. So there was just too much against the story for it to be credible, in my opinion. And then of course I turned out to be right. But
I had a similar one but I totally proved it because you ever done the fake nut?
Yeah. I
did that, where I spit on her back.
Okay. I never did that.
Spit on the back.
I never did that. I totally faked an orgasm though, and then I threw the condom in the garbage, and she sifted through the garbage to find out that I didn't come in the condom. And she's like, "You didn't come," and like, she was legitimately offended, and I was like, "You don't have to come every time. Like, yeah, you want to.
I want to, but
you don't have to."
No, see, this one was a twofer because I pulled out, for one, obviously, if I did it on your back. Two, if I spit, it wasn't the right spit. So two, I told her out, but then she did the whole pre-cum, and I said, it's not going to happen. I guess one that I have, if we're going to base it on sex, and this happened to me, but sort of didn't, is there was this girl I worked with at Nordstrom, and this was up here, and it was in my single days, and I never dated her. She was hot, and she would get drinks with me after work every now and then, and a few of my friends that worked there dated her, right? And come to find out, she ends up leaving, and she goes and works for another company, and all my guy friends are like, telling me stories like, oh man, I had to pay her like $400. I'm like, what? They're like, oh, for an abortion.
Oh,
well, I guess everybody she was sleeping with in the store, she was going around saying, oh, I need an abortion, and getting money from all the dudes. So she was homie hopping. And so I was blessed that I never went that route, because I probably would have been out. Not that I, support that, but it was like the $400 to $700. And she, when I met her years later, she fully admitted it, because I was talking to her one night, and me being me, don't care. I was like, hey, I heard. And she's like, oh yeah. She goes, totally was scamming all the guys there.
Good for her.
Like, so there's a blessing that I didn't even hit it, because there was that trust feeling, right? It was a trust. Like, you can be as hot as balls. Doesn't mean I want you.
I don't know if balls are hot unless the temperature. Well, I guess that makes
balls
sense.
are hot.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
there was a time actually that I was single. I know that, and there was this girl. I want to say her name was Melissa. Don't remember all the details. Regardless, I would have all these house parties. My cousin and I lived together. We'd have all these house parties and stuff. And she was one of these people that we would invite over, and she tried to get me into bed multiple times. And one of the times I pulled a Jake. I was kind of naive, and my bedroom was upstairs, and I'm like, I think I'm going to go to bed. And she's like, oh, I'm tired too. Do you mind if we crash here? And I'm like, no, not a problem. Dude, there's 5 bedrooms in this house. 5. 2 of them are occupied. I was like, yeah, you guys can go ahead and stay, blah, 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 blah. Well, she follows me into my room. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, is it okay if I just stay here? And I'm like, no, go sleep in one of the other rooms. Like, I didn't like her like that. Well, it turns out, like, if I would have known what she was trying to do, and I was pretty inebriated. I mean, I may have gone down that road. Turns out she was a burner. She had like chlamydia or syphilis or one of those or something, herpes syphilades, whatever it was. And I totally missed the boat on that. And thank goodness that happened. But yeah, dude, I just think that life works out. Like, I'm totally happy for this girl. I hope that she's in love with the baby, and hopefully her and the dad work out phenomenal. Like, there's legitimately no ill will there. I just thought it was ironic because here I am, dude. My kid's out of the house. My kid is succeeding at life, and I'm having to be faced with this. Holy fucking shit! Am I starting the race over again? I didn't want to do that.
But let me ask you a bro question. Like, if let's say the show blew up, and it doesn't have to be the show blew up, but like, let's say we did well, and like we're making so much money, right? And then you go and pull like what's his name who married Bunny, that blonde chick. Who's the guy you like?
Oh, Jelly Roll.
Face tattoos. Jelly Roll. Like, you pull a Jelly Roll and you go marry yourself.
You said Jelly Roll because he's fat, right?
I said it because I just see the resemblance here of you being a 1 and a 0 with her instead of a 1 and a 0 with me. In a sense
more
of
like a 7. And I don't mean 7 in like a derogatory way. I just mean 7 because she's got the tits.
Right. But what my point is, B-word, you go marry a 22-year-old hot little blonde filly like that is what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And we're rich, we're successful, you're going down that road, you're wearing the chains now, you're with this, and then she goes, put a baby in me. Are you doing it?
No.
No, you're not starting over.
No.
And what is the reasons? Like, and here's the thing. I'm for. I agree with you. because I have those friends. I have those friends in their 50s that started over. Like, I joke with my brother. Like, if my brother ever has kids, like he'll probably have his first kid if he does around like 38. And it's like that's a whole different timeline that you're working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the reason? I know the obvious, but I still want to hear them. Like, from your perspective of why you would never start over. No matter what.
Honestly, I mean, so there's the basic ones, right? So I'd be like 60 by the time the kid's moving out of the house. There's the financial burden. There's a lot of different things that go with it. Like, my quality of life, I think, may go up, to be honest with you, just because like there's something that I'm having to deal with every single day, as opposed to like now I don't really have to deal with a whole lot. However, the big thing for me is that I think just because I've been in so many bad relationships, and in the manner of toxicity that I have been with my daughter's mom, I don't wish that upon anybody. And I don't want to even risk that. So there is that. And I don't, I haven't found somebody that I would like to call, my lover for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And so because of that, maybe I have a hard time trusting. But that would probably be the bigger reason as to why. But yeah, there's all those little reasons that go with it.
Yeah, it's different too, because you're also single. It's not like you're in a new relationship or anything. And I've been around some of your toxic relationships, and I agree, because I met your ex.
Yeah, terrible.
That's
terrible.
That's my opinion there too, as we know. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, because I'm glad, like I said, if we're circling back, I'm glad you did the man math. I'm glad it wasn't you, because for you too, because there is something freeing that you're at that state, as you were saying, the financial burden, right? Like it's not that you wouldn't provide for your daughter still and help her out if need be, but there's difference. She's an adult now. Mm-hmm. And like, you get that little extra boost to your income that's like, kids are fucking expensive, man.
They're like, literally, I pay for one bill of hers now, and the one bill is the telephone. She pays for everything else. Like, she's doing it. She's, like I said, she's succeeding at life. She's got a job that can turn into a career. Like, she's doing the damn thing, dude. And I'm very proud of her. And I guess the other thing too, and again, this is kind of an obvious thing, is that she's going to be a mom at some point, I imagine. And that some point is going to be sooner rather than later, I would imagine. And I don't mean like this year or next year. I just mean she's going to be 21 in October. Most women tend to bear children right around their mid-20s sometime. So I understand that in, probably the next 4 or 5, 10 years, I'm going to be a grandpa. And at that point, that's going to be weird for me, because I'm still young enough, to not be a grandpa, but whatever. And then if I have children, like, do they become friends? Like, are they the same age? Which could be cool for in some cases. I just don't want it. I don't want to.
I agree. I think the hard thing for me is, like, me and my wife wanted more, I think. And I'm snipped for different reasons. But I always like that in our journey in life, B-Word, I'm always like a few steps behind you. Like, 'cause now I'm starting to have the conversations with my daughter. She's going to high school next year.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we had a long walk on the beach the other day. No pun intended. We were out at one of the beaches, and she was like talking to me about like, Dad, like things are expensive. I'm like, yeah. She goes like, I really have to focus in school. Like, what am I going to do for a job? And like, I'm starting to have those real conversations with her. And like, as a dad, it's your job to be like, no matter what, sweetie, I got your back. Like, you know what I mean? You're under my roof. I'm going to take care of you. But it's also like, I'm trying to prepare you. Like, I'm going to kick you in the ass a little bit. Like, get your shit together. Like, get the fuck out,
Yeah.
you know, get stuff going out the door. But speaking of children, my second daughter, Adeline, it was her birthday today, recording day.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did something I never thought I would do.
First off, I hate this choice.
I
hate what you did.
I'm
And it's
gonna
not
say-
because you're a good dad, and it's not because Adeline doesn't deserve it, and it's not because all those things. This is another reason that I just don't like the circumstance. But go ahead.
I got a cat for her. And I got a kitten
cats.
for her.
Fuck.
I'm not a cat person, as we know. Everybody knows that on the show. I even made the joke in there that people don't know breeds of cats, that they're just colors of Gatorade. And one person working there chuckled, and all the rest sort of looked at me. And it was right. My wife did the smack me moment, like smack me on the shoulder, because we just turned our paperwork in to get the adoption. And I could just see her face like, I'm going to screw this adoption up just by being Jake. Like, just by standing there yelling out the crap I want to. Because I was like, well, let's go get that floppy-eared cat over there, trying to get her to get a bunny. And then, of course, I made her go look at the dogs and all that. But I'll say this, seeing how my kid lit up, because when I took her there, the whole story behind it, nobody knew. I told my wife, and my wife was surprised. Like, there's no way we're getting this cat. I'm like, yeah, I want to get her a cat for her birthday. She's been asking for like years. And my wife's like, holy crap, you're on board. And I didn't know this really about my wife. My wife was never really allowed to have a cat. So it's like a dream of hers too. She didn't have a lot of pets growing up in New York and stuff. So she always wanted pets and was told
She
no,
had
when you're an
rats.
adult, you can.
She had rats crawling around.
Oh,
in New
yeah.
York.
And I will say this. She fostered stray cats. She would capture cats and then have to give them away. So there's that moment. But no, she always wanted a bunch of animals, like dogs and anything. And so, like, you know, like you've seen it. My kids have had a hedgehog. They've had bunnies. We have birds. Like, if you take care of it, and well, I'll love any animal, essentially. Now, am I a cat fan? No. To me, they're like bad roommates. They like boxes of shit in your house, you know, shit like that. They're like Gatorade. However, I drove my daughter this morning. We got up to go to the Humane Society to adopt a kitten, right? So we drive over there, and she has no idea. And we get there. Now, mind you, we went to Hobby Lobby, we went to Chick-fil-A, did lunch, did all the stuff she wanted to do. And we get there, and she's like, where are we, Dad? And she looks up, and my wife's like, well, what's that sign say? She goes, cats and kittens. And my wife's like, yeah. She goes, so we're going to look at one. And she goes, why are we just coming here to look at them? Well, my wife goes, well, you're going to be able to take one. She goes, like a real one? And she goes, yeah. And she goes, Dad doesn't like them. And we're in there. And dude, she had fun. But here's the problem. And I'm not just saying the government, but I know the government helps run humane societies, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
I think they're probably getting grant funded or something,
Right,
but they don't
But
run
okay,
them.
anything state run, anything ran like this, right? Like, they deter so many people.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it was like buying a car. It took us almost 4 hours today to get this fucking kitten. They had 4 empty rooms. They're like, we're understaffed. But I'm watching, and it's like they were like, I was like, okay, we want to look at this one. They're like, well, you have to wait till 2:15. And I look at them. It's 1:00. I'm like, why? Like, why am I waiting till 2:15 to get in this room? Like, well, somebody has to sit in there with you and stare and
Like
do
you
this.
have
And
to
then
have a supervised visit with a kitten.
Yeah.
Oh.
You have to there. So we had to have a supervised visit on the floor with this kitten and, you know, whatever. And then we get out and they're like, oh, do you like it? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool. Let's go do that. So I'm thinking, okay, we're done. Then we fill out the paperwork. Like, all right, we have to run the paperwork now. Now, mind you, I'm all for, like, you know, like, you're checking to make sure I'm not like a serial like adopter. I'm not having a billion cats in my house. Cause I'm going to tell you, it was sort of funny to me, B-word, seeing the people in the cat section versus the people in the fucking dog section. It's like Target and Walmartians. Okay.
Mhm.
We were in the Walmart section and the fucking Target section was the fucking dogs. Okay. Like, it was two totally different people, two totally different crowds. But dude, we had to sit there and wait for them to cycle through the paperwork and just sit. And they kept walking over going, sorry, it's just going to take a little while longer. I'm like, I know you're busy and they're adopting a lot of cats, but I'm like, I already got to spend money. It's $200 for this thing. Now they microchip it, they spay it, they do all that, and everybody, like, what happened to B Word? Like, side note, what happened to like the people in front of Smith's just handing them out in a grocery cart? Like, you remember those days?
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with lemonade stands on the corner in neighborhoods and stuff. They just don't happen. And then if you look on like Facebook Marketplace or like Craigslist or anything like that, I don't trust anything on there, dude. Like, it's gnarly. Like, you never know what you're going to get.
Well, like we were talking to people, like I went on Craigslist, right, to look for this kitten when I was trying to prepare for this. I was like, oh, maybe I'll find a free one. And everybody, small rehoming fee. So I'd message them like, what is it? They're like, oh, $150. I'm like, one lady wanted $150 for a cat she found in her backyard. I'm like, hell, get the hell out of here. And then she's like, well, we really need to find homes fast. I'm like, then you're not fucking asking for $150. You want a house fast and you get rid of them, you fucking get them for free. And I guarantee you some of those cats were probably ones I went and looked at today. They probably got dropped off there because they couldn't sell them. But it's one of those things, dude. It was really annoying seeing how long the process is, because that's why people get turned off of things.
Yeah.
Like you pretty much like you're weeding out people like me that like, it's like, I can afford the damn cat. I'm going to get the damn cat. Just give me the damn cat. Like, let me get the hell out of here.
Dude, I went down to visit my kid when she was in college. And one of the things that she would do just for fun is she'd go check out the puppy mill, and she'd go and she'd pet all the puppies and hang out with them or whatever. Have you ever been to one of those? Like, I know that you were just at an animal shelter thing, but have you ever been to like a traditional puppy mill?
Yes, I have.
Dude, you walk in and it's like the greatest thing because all these puppies are just so happy to see you. Mm-hmm. Walking out rips your fucking heart out, dude. Because you know all of these dogs are going to sleep in these little containers in a dark fucking storefront, and they just shit in the little peanuts that are in their fucking cages. And all these dogs want to do is just find a home. And it breaks my fucking heart to leave those places. And like, if it was a cat mill, a pussy mill, I'd give 3 shits, dude. Like, whatever, fucking die, burn the place down. A puppy mill though, like, puppies are humans to me, dude.
I hate puppies.
Like, I'm all about puppies. As a matter of fact, I would much rather have a puppy than a baby.
Well, yeah, but you don't think puppies are ugly?
No, I don't. And I'd actually like to smell their breath.
What was it? Did it just come off the tit?
Yeah, exactly. What
was it though? It was funny because my wife, when we left to the dog section, she said, "Oh man, God, it breaks my heart over here." And I'm like, "Why?" Oh, you know what I mean? It's just funny because I can tell she's a dog person too. But it's one of those things. Like, the coolest moment though is when we were in the car. My daughter was like, "Dad, thank you so much for doing this." She goes, "I know you weren't really about this." It was one of those like little moments, you know what I mean, where she was like so happy, and then she goes, "I'm proud of you for getting it for me, even though you don't like it." That's sort of bad.
That's one thing that I'll say about your daughter, dude. She is super smart. She's self-aware, and she's very like in tune to everybody, and she's just a really, really good kid. But let's take a break, dude, and we'll be right back. Bleach Bros Podcast is proud to align itself with Jerky Pro, a beef jerky manufacturer established by military and paramilitary veterans.
Available in 3-ounce or 1-pound bags with great flavors such as honey glazed, teriyaki, red hot, apple cinnamon, original, peppered, sweet barbecue, and if you're ballsy enough, nuclear.
Be sure to use our promo code to get some of the best jerky on the market. Use Bleach Bros 5, all lowercase, to take advantage of this offer today.
Welcome back to the Bleach Brothers Podcast. I'm bringing us in with my swell friend, B word.
Swollen.
Swell friend.
Swollen friend.
Swell. I hate that the English language, and I presume other languages do, but like, we have so many meanings for the same word. It's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, there's a lot of meanings. Like, what was the word that you were talking about earlier? It was what was it? It wasn't compadre because that's Spanish. It wasn't comfort. Like, you and I were talking on the phone yesterday, and you were getting pissed off at something that I was saying.
I yelled cunt at a fat girl.
Yes, no, that was a couple days ago. Yeah, I remember that. No, but you were talking about comfort.
Comfort?
Yeah, whatever the word was, it had the word "come" in it, and instantly that's what I heard, and I kept going "come," and it was pissing you off. and I don't remember what the word was.
I don't know.
But regardless, yeah, the English language has a lot of different words. And you know what's funny is that if you get into like German or Spanish, they actually have genders in like terms.
Yeah, like A and O in Spanish, right? Yeah.
And you know, we seem to be the one language that allows for pronouns to identify as genders, which is just really interesting. We don't have to get into that whole thing, but I don't know. I guess I get confused sometimes. But I switched jobs recently, and I work with a 7-foot tall mammoth of a woman. And like, she's obviously not 7 feet tall, but she's taller than I am significantly. And I think she weighs more than I do significantly. And I can't quite figure out what her story is. Like, I know that she's a lesbian because her coffee cup says lesbian socialism is good.
I was going to say, does she drive a Subaru?
No, she drives a Hyundai, I think. But yeah, I don't know what her circumstance. Like, she's a cool lady. Like, I don't want to talk bad about her at all. But I'll tell you what, man, it's just a really interesting circumstance when you're paired with somebody who is just completely opposite of who you are. And it's just kind of funny. And it's interesting. It's interesting. Like, the conversations that she has and everything like that. Like I said, nice lady. But yeah, just a weird circumstance, dude. And it's just crazy. I mean, workplaces are weird, right?
I'm happy because my office, as you know, since I call you so much, and I call you a gnome, my new game is to call gnome just randomly through the day. As my office is essentially other people's places of work or my car, or my house office, right? But workplaces are weird because the one thing I hated is I don't mind camaraderie, right? Maybe that wasn't the word, was it?
No.
But like stupid rules that they have that nobody follows is my biggest pet peeve.
Commotion?
No, we're never going to figure it out because we're just thinking But like the rules that they make in those workplaces that nobody follows really piss me off.
Yeah.
Like the one thing I hated was like everybody, like somebody has to do the dishes at the end of the day or something like that, right? When you work in those cubicle side places. And like I used to have one cup and one plate and I'd leave it at my desk at all times. And then and the worst part was I got in trouble for that. Like they came to me one day and said, Jake, everybody notices that you have your own cup and your plate at your desk. I was like, yeah, because what I do is I drink my coffee and eat, and then I wash my plate and I bring it back to my desk.
Yeah.
And like, well, people are leaving dishes in the sink. And I go, well, obviously it's not me if I have my one cup and my one plate at my desk at all times. I was like, I get it if I was in here and like I left like coffee in there and it was over the weekend and it's soured or whatever because I like cream my coffee. My coffee has to look like Mariah Carey. And
Mariah Carey, like with
the skin
Nick
tone.
Cannon busting on it first or busting in it?
No. Mariah Carey's skin tone with the big jugs. But anyways.
Like a taste of honey, huh?
I do. Oh, dude. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Big
music
fan
video.
of that.
Anyway, go ahead.
But no, like I got in trouble for that. And then I had to start doing dishes. And then the rule changed to one person has to do them at the end of the day, no matter what. And then people started bitching like this person leaves more than anybody else. And it was like, I got lumped into this, and the whole thing happened because I was doing my dishes and bringing them back to my own desk, and people were getting mad because they're like, well, Jake just does his own. That's what we're supposed to do. We're adults. Yeah. We're supposed to eat and clean up after ourselves. And the funny thing is people are like, it's not me. And it's like, Katie, your cup says Katie on it. It's in the sink. And I'm just throwing a name out there.
Somebody used my cup, and it was probably Robert. Oh, Robert likes to use my
Robert
Katie cup.
Sucks. Yeah, and you're just fuck, dude. Like that type of stuff. I don't know. That's the things I hate about work environments. Is it's more just rules, and it's the fact of like you're supposed to all be adults, and you realize like most of the time it's high school everywhere you go. Like that's the one lie and joke that I hate about life. Is like everybody's like, when you get out of high school, it's going to be really different. No, it's fucking not. No, it's fucking not. You get somewhere else, and all it is you don't have a locker anymore. You don't have your parents. You can have an actual smoking section, and you're not going to get kicked out. You might get kicked out if you're doing drugs or getting drunk. You know what I mean? But like, people are still fucking. People don't like each other. There's still cliques. You get lunch somewhere. You essentially have recess. You learn things. You try to slack off and sleep. You would enjoy showing up late. You hate the principal or your boss. There's always that one girl who's dressed like a slut, and there's always that douchebag who's making a fucking joke and being loud and getting everybody in trouble. Yep. Like it's the same situation. It's the same situation.
It is the same situation. I think that we don't necessarily grow up. Our circumstances change. And proof and point, you talked about calling Gnome the other day. This last weekend, you called Gnome and he was busy. He was buying a laptop for his son.
This was great. Yeah.
And so instantly you called me and you're like, I just tried to call Gnome and he told me he was busy. He was buying a laptop for his son. So I had to go. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Hold on a second. So what do? Went over to fucking three-way called him and called Gnome. He picks up. He's like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm like, and then all of a sudden he hears you and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? I told you that I'm buying a laptop for my son. And both you and I are just fucking dying on the other side. Yep. See, that's the point, is that we don't grow up. I think that we just get older. And the art of pranking telephone calls has changed because now there's caller ID on everything, right? So now we have to like design prank calls in a certain way. Yeah. And that one was one of the more beautiful ones that I've done recently. So I'm very proud
that was
of
a fun moment lately, but it was weird because it reminds me, I was in bed the other night and I was laying there and I was thinking like that whole thing, do we really grow up? Because like I remember like looking at my dad, right? Like when I was like 4. Yeah. And then I remember looking at my dad when I was like 14 and I could tell my dad aged, right? But internally, I don't know how my dad felt. And right now I'm going through that because I remember how I was at 24. And I'm not saying I'm not a better person. I haven't grown in certain ways, but there are other ways. Like I still feel like I did as a 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Like body wise, I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, I'm still wanting to watch Marvel movies. I'm still wanting to lay around. I still like jerking off in the shower, like those with things. Mint shampoo. It was mint shampoo. Those things still exist, B-word. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm wondering at what age do I really feel that change?
I don't remember whose podcast it was, but they were asking, like, if you can go back to a specific age and relive life, what age would it be? I think this might have been Boogered Up. Boogered Up may have been the show I was listening to. But is there like a particular age that you would want to go back to and like start over, regardless if you have the same knowledge or not? Is there an age that you'd like to go back and just relive?
Well, we sort of talked about this. I would go back to 11 years old. I would go back to 11 years old. That's when I had my first.
This because you were talking about would you assist yourself in a fucking handy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I would go back to 11 because junior high, I was dating Alana with the biggest tits in school.
So she had she had an A cup in middle school. Good for you.
Yeah, but nobody else did, so I was doing a good job. But my point is, B-word is like I actually know what I'm doing now, so it's like I could have acted different ways. I'm smarter, but also I would have tried to relive sports differently as the main reason. Like I would have tried and trained harder at things, knowing how much I love them and how I would want to like excel at that even more.
Did you have more fun in middle school or high school?
High school. I was I remember one vivid story. I was hung from the fence in middle school. They took my backpack and remember I was like the nerd, so I had the heavy backpack. They pulled my straps tight and then hung me on the thing. And that's when we had like that security guard. I can't remember his name, but he was a total D-bag. And he walked over and he goes, "Hey, Jake, trying to ditch class?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I just hung myself up on the fence. Because remember, I was tiny, B-word. I was tiny forever.
Was it Butch though?
I have no clue.
The I know big it was, guy with the black flat top.
No, that was high school. He was that was Brittany Tolson's dad. That was the Tolson's family dad. He was in high school. Middle school, it was Mike Madrano and his cousin, and it was his cousin who was the D-bag. Mike Madrano's still a good friend of mine. Cool bro. One of those people that you like kept in touch your whole life. Like
that's so funny because I took college classes with Mike Madrano, and he like I'd go on ride-alongs with him so that way he could help. Like he was like, "Hey, can you do a ride-along this weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've got math homework. I need help with it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, well, he's fantastic." Awesome. Yeah, he's a good dude.
I hated middle school essentially. I mean, there was a lot that changed. High school too, and not trying to sound lame, but you were also there. Like you moved back.
Yeah.
And we became friends again. And we hung out a lot, and we had that weird crew. Like we had that crew that hung out. Like we had the designated spot outside. Mm-hmm. We always ate at the lunch truck outside with that lady with the fried burritos and stuff, the little blue cart. We always sat out on the bleachers or what they weren't. They were like
little benches or something.
Picnic benches. We'd sit out there, eat our lunch in the sun, do that. One of my favorite moments of me and you was at a dance, and Curtis Riley walked over and tried to make fun of us for dancing, and I stopped and stood against the wall. and then you said fuck him and then danced in front of him all night,
Yeah.
just him, and did like the worm and stuff. And I thought that was one of the coolest moments because you were pretty much like fuck everybody else. Like you don't come over here and make fun of us and make Jake and me and everybody not want to dance. And so you said, fine, you're going to watch me dance the whole time. And then he was so pissed. And that was probably one of the coolest moments. But no, I enjoyed high school more. I had a huge array of friends. I learned about myself. I was good at sports. You know, like what about you? Did you like middle school or high school more?
I think I liked the friend group a lot more in high school than I did in middle school, just because I felt like we were closer and like we had a lot more things in common. But on the flip side, in middle school, I grew up in a town of 2,000 people. So it was like everybody knew everybody. And in middle school, it was also the thing where we would have like the Nintendo 64 and we would have sleepovers and like all that sort of stuff. And like there was a crew of like, I don't know, 5 to 10 dudes that we would all hang out together. And we would just get into a lot of trouble, like in a good way. Like we'd just go out in the desert and we'd go, you know, in the hills. And yeah, we just have a lot of fun. So it was a lot harder to do that in high school because the town that you and I grew up in was so far apart from people. Like you and I were relatively close, but you, me, and Mitch were so far away from each other because Mitch lived on the entire different side of town.
Well,
and
even
then
Bobo,
he lived on the entire side of town from all of us. So it was like this thing. And then, you know, when we started driving, the price of gas, like we all had to deal with that and figure out how to pay for it and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's just a little different. So I'd say, I think if I were to compare the two from a childish standpoint, I probably liked middle school a lot better than high school. But from a life lesson standpoint, I liked high school a lot better. Plus, I was snagging poon in high school. And
dude, I bragged about you the other day about this. Like you were always hitting 10s.
Oh my God.
Like 10s for what, us. But I mean, you were always at least getting the hot chicks and working your way in there. I don't know if it was because you were Captain Sabo, how you did it be weird. But because you would always rip me later, like, Jake, you have a chance. I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to hold her.
Yeah, you were Tism.
I was getting
free,
the
Tism.
I was getting free root beer floats and happy about that. That was the highlight of my fucking day. But no, like, see, like, because I always joked, like, we had perump blocks. Like, you were like 3 perump blocks away from my house.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, and so it's like when I talk to my wife who's from New York City and I'm like, oh, they're like 2 blocks away. She's like, Jake, they live like 2 miles. I'm like, yeah, that's like 2 blocks. It's not far.
I think we were like 1.5 miles away, but it wasn't anything that like a bicycle couldn't take care of.
No, but like to us, like I said, that's a perump block. Like that's a block to me in perump of like, okay, you rode your bike, you went down 6 different cross paths, you can cut through the desert here, and you're at their house. Like Mitch's house, I did ride my bike that far before.
You rode your bike from your house to Mitch's house?
I used to ride my bike to Bobo's house all the time.
Really?
Yeah, all day.
See,
like
it's one thing like if you rode your bike to the high school, and then you went from the high school to Bobo's house, like I could see that. But from your house directly to Mitch's house, like
but remember like when I'd show up at your house all the time on a bike and you'd be like, Jake, like it would be like 108 out and there's me, my white hair, tan ass, no shirt, hat, just flying all over town. And then I'd just be in your front yard, like not dripping sweat or anything, just riding. Because me, TR Plumber, Kyle Sugar, my brother, that's all we did in the summer. Remember, we'd ride bikes, shoot BB guns. And so, I would ride to Bobo because TR Plumber lived around near Bobo.
Yeah, he lived near Bobo. Yeah.
And so did Fobs. And Fobs lived right next door to Bobo. And so I used to ride over to those friends' house. And that's how you could get around. I was like, it's cheaper. I could do it. I love riding my bike. I kept in really good shape. But yeah, remember, I would ride fucking everywhere, dude. Like, I loved riding my bike. And so I did that all the time. I did laugh, though, and I don't know if you know this. This is the stupidest little stat or fucking tidbit about fucking perump. Near Bobo's and Mitch's house, the dirt was different than our house.
It was a lot more like clay. Ours was a lot more like clay. Yeah.
Yeah, ours was like hard, and theirs was like that crackly dirt. And I always found it weird because when I'd ride my bike, you had to ride differently in different areas. It was
over where they lived, it was like a dirt clod.
Right.
It was very much like that. Like it broke apart a lot different. Yeah, I agree with you there.
If you could be any animal from the desert, what animal are you going to be?
From the desert specifically?
Like, like growing up, probably like a creature out there. Because like the whole reason this show started is this is the type of shit we would call each other and ask. Like you'd be like, hey, if you were a bird, what would you be? And then I go off on why people are stupid for saying they're a hawk.
See, part of me wants to say a lizard, but then like I thought
of you as a horny toad.
Yeah, no, horny toad would be badass. As a matter of fact, they have the bullfrogs out there. The bullfrogs would be kind of cool. I think there's a lot of scorpions, dude. I think I'd probably want to go and be a scorpion.
You want to be a scorpion?
Yeah.
Why do you want to be a scorpion?
Because people are afraid of me, and I could stab people. I think the stabbing people is probably more important than anything else.
If you're a dad, they all ride your back. You have like 90 babies.
Same thing with a spider. Have you ever seen a spider carry babies?
Yeah, but it's an arachnid. They're both arachnids, of course.
Did you know if you were a seahorse, like you would carry all the
belly
babies?
Button. In your belly button.
Yeah. You ever seen a seahorse fucking birth the babies?
Yeah, birth the babies out of the belly button.
Oh my God, that's a weird. Yeah, that's what I imagine my cum looks like.
I'm a coyote.
Really? That's the most generic.
I'm a road runner. I'm a road runner.
Did we have road runners out there?
Yeah. Oh, we had a lot of road runners. I'm a road runner for a few reasons. One, I can kill you. Two, I'm wiry. I'm fast. I'm annoying. And I scavenge for everything.
You're a mule deer. That's what
I'm
you're
not
describing.
a mule deer. I'm not a mule deer.
Yes,
I hate
you are.
mule deer. They're fucking rats with hooves. Louis C.K. was right. Put a fucking shotgun in their mouth and kill that tick-ridden bastard.
Do you think that the jackalopes are real? Because when I was a kid,
I love jackalopes. Remember, it's one of my favorite creatures.
When I was a kid, I was told that jackalopes were real. I've never seen one. I don't think anybody's ever seen one. But do you think they were real at least once?
No, but I will say there's a taxidermy place up here, and I took my brother, and I was really wanting one for my wall. And then he looked at the price. He goes, "Nope, ask another year, maybe." But
for what?
A jackalope.
Oh, so somebody made a fake jackalope, and you
people do all the time. They make them all the time.
You're stupid.
That's dude. Go to ask Nomi this too because he's from Arizona. Go to Wickiup, the town in Arizona, and go to any restaurant there, and they're all over. Like they got jackalope mounts all over the wall.
Interesting.
Hold on. You've never seen one, but you don't. Do you know what they look like? Right?
I know what they look like. Yeah.
Yeah. People make that taxidermy all the time. It's awesome.
I just never thought that taxidermists would create a fake thing.
They do all the time.
Now you've talked about your death, that you want yourself to fucking come in
marionette.
like a wrecking ball and lay out like a marionette. And did I recall you say that you actually want to be stuffed?
No, I don't want to be. I wanted to stuff my dogs, and my wife won't let me. Every time they die, I want to stuff a dog. I also want to be half cremated.
Which half?
The lower half, but I want to leave the penis, but the legs can go.
You just want to Lieutenant Dan yourself.
I just want to Lieutenant Dan, and I want it standing at attention. But I want to be propped up out of my casket, holding the rest of my ashes like thumbs up to the crowd.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Dude, if I was a marionette like Lieutenant Dan too, I could have like in the background, like during my eulogy, like you could have you could edit it like you do the podcast and be like, Lieutenant Dan didn't have no legs. He got no legs.
By the time that you die, AI is going to be so good that there's going to be like some sort of like Down syndrome, like indicator, like voiceover
Tism
or something.
AI.
Yeah, it's be like, and so Jake sat there and he just had no legs. And then we're just going, yay. And he's like, but there was that one time at the restaurant that he ended up with a root beer float, and he was just so happy, and he just thought that was like the greatest thing in the world. And between that was a happy day for him because he decided that he was going to go and get his daughter a pussy, and he got his daughter a pussy because of the root beer float, and it was just a great day. And then his wife said that. Oh my God, I can't believe that you got your daughter a pussy, and I'm so happy. So here's my pussy. Why don't you go down on me? And then that's where this voice was created. And blah, 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 blah.
I hope like in the future, like AI like does research on the people, like does their eulogy, and they like look up this show and go, Jake was a master impersonator, and he talked about dicks a lot. We're surprised he wasn't a homosexual. It's just so badly like written because it's not true. It's like how I talk about like if like in 3,000 years or whatever, if the Earth had like a World War III, but people still exist and stuff, and they're digging up stuff like we dig up Egypt, right?
Yeah.
They actually believe that like we worship like Iron Man, like Marvel gods, because we have.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny, right? Dude? Oh, yeah,
like they're like it's sort of like that crappy movie. Is it called Battlefield Earth?
Yeah,
where John Travolta's in it,
that
and it's like they're talking about. It's terrible, but it's a great premise in the sense when they're talking about the golden arch. Like my favorite part of that movie is when they're talking about McDonald's. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, they would go to this building with golden arches, and they would walk to the window, and food miraculously come out the window. And it's like, you get it, like you get how that's like a cool concept for like futuristic people going, wow, people would go to a window and food would just appear. And to us, it's like, it's a fast food fucking drive through. Like I would love to see what people think. Like, oh my God, did they really like their number one movie was Star Wars? I mean, they were doing interstellar travel. It's like, no, we just made it all up.
Wasn't Battlefield Earth a Scientology movie?
Probably was.
I think it was.
So.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. Or
I don't know. All that if you could join one cult, what would you join?
My own. I've always joked that I want to make the church Jake. I'm going to make my own cult and the book of Jake and have people follow me.
So if you we're in somebody else's cult, right? And they tell you that you have to wash all the dishes because it's your time to wash all the dishes.
Nope.
And so you're in the kitchen and you're washing all the dishes and you finally end up you wash the pitcher and you dry it and you come out and they're serving Kool-Aid, but you already missed the Kool-Aid party and everybody's dead. Are you calling 911 or are you just walking away?
I'm leaving and I'm doing my own dish and walking out with my dish.
So what you're saying is that should you ever end up with a pregnant woman, you're just going to walk away.
Just going to walk away and I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you and have you do the math for me and figure it out if it's me or not. Yeah.
Man math with a tism.
You're my Maury Povich.
I love it. I love it. Well, dude, it's been a fun time just chopping it up with you. For lack of a rundown, we could probably talk for hours, but for the audience's sake, let's wrap this shit up. So, what do you got for me?
I'm wrapping it up like B-word, so he won't have a baby in 9 months, but thanks for all the dirty talk and come back and get sanitized. If you're a fan of our show, be sure to check out this one to stay sanitized.
Have you ever listened to a podcast about porn?
Why not let us be your guides?
We do all the dirty work for you.
All you have to do is sit back and enjoy.
We are the porn connoisseurs. I'm Big C.
And as always, you got your boy Jay. You can listen to our show, the Porn Stash Podcast, every other Monday.
Listen to us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and just about anywhere else.